Yo, Adrian! We did it! Oh my God. Not many times in my life has a basketball team brought me to tears. This is something special going on. This is something really, really special that we're witnessing right now. And I apologize. I don't know if I have the words for it because, you know, I've given speeches on here before about how, you know, why we watch sports and the things that keep bringing us back amidst all the losing. And this is it. This is it. You want to see something that is not supposed to be real. You want to see something that is not supposed to be possible. You want to see Jalen Brunson. You want to see Jalen Brunson show up on your franchise's doorstep one day and say, I could do this. I got this. We got this. Because with Jalen Brunson, it's never about Jalen Brunson. It's always about the team, which is why for the first time, I think, since I've seen him here in New York, when Alan Hahn, shout out to Alan Hahn, was doing that interview after this emotional win and asked Jalen Brunson about, like, this was, you know, you just got named to your first All-Star team today. And then he's trying to think of the answer, the correct answer, right? To that question that, you know, is of course going to deflect praise from him because this is not a player who ever accepts praise. It is always, who can I praise? Who else can I give attention to? Who else can I make feel good about their efforts and about what they contributed tonight? And then as he's trying to do that and think of the words, the entire crowd which has stuck around at this point until after the final buzzer is chanting MVP at the top of their lungs. And I think for a moment there, he lost it. And just imagine being Jalen Brunson. Imagine being a guy who, you know, you're obviously underappreciated and underthought of and under recruited and the whole thing. And you go to college and you quite literally prove that you are the best. He proved it in college. He proved I'm the best. I'm the best as there is. National, want me to win a national championship? Sure, I got it. I could lead a team to the pinnacle. And what does it get him? Gets him sitting there watching as every NBA team passes him over for someone else that they thought better of. That's all right. Okay, fine, sure. Just keep working. And that's all he's done ever since the day he stepped foot into the league. So how appropriate is it that on this night that he ascends not to the mountaintop, because we all know where Jalen Brunson wants to take this team. Because again, it's not about him. It's about where he wants to take this team. We know what his mountaintop is. But how appropriate is it on a night that he checks off a very important box on his journey and gets named to his first All-Star team, that he truly, truly brings the Rocky story all the way home. And that's, what other story is there? What bigger underdog have we had in this sport that has come along over the years? Second round, I mean, seriously, think like second round pick. Look, there's been great second round picks in the modern era. Like, I'm not talking about when there were 8 teams in the league, like when Willis Reed got drafted in the first pick in the second round and he was like, whatever he was, the 8th pick overall. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about modern era. Like, we've had great second round picks. Dennis Rodman was a second round pick. You know, Draymond Green was a second round pick. Obviously, the most famous one now is Nikola Jokic. But Nikola Jokic, I mean, you're talking about a guy who was overseas, and even with our recruiting and our scouting and the whole thing and all the information we have, he was still a guy that people, I don't think, had any real idea about. Jalen Brunson, we saw him on a national stage. We saw him deliver his team to the promised land and still falls to the second round. And then work your way back up. Okay. What's my reward? My team's not going to offer me a 4-year, $55 million extension. Okay, I got to go prove it. Goes out, proves it in the middle of his 4th year. Against their better judgment, they go back to the negotiating table. Hey, Mark, I'll tell you what, we'll do it. We'll give you a second chance to sign us to the deal. If you sign it to us, sign it right now. Nope. Sorry. Play out the rest of the year. We may want to trade you. Yeah, really? And then we saw what happened in the playoffs, and then we know what happened from there. And in some ways, it has all led up to this. And it's not over yet. I mean, that's why I think this night feels so special, because it is just getting started for a team that went into this game obviously missing. I mean, start with Mitchell Robinson. He's been gone for almost 2 months. Missing all-star Julius Randle. We're going to pay a lot of attention to Jalen Brunson tonight, and I feel bad. And talk about appropriate. It is kind of appropriate, because who always gets the short end of the stick? It's Julius Randle, right? Do not forget about the fact that this is Julius Randle's 3rd All-Star appearance for the New York Knickerbockers. 3rd All-Star appearance in 4 years. Go back and check your history, kids. Not that many players have ever had a 4-year stretch where they made 3 All-Star teams for the Knicks. It has not happened a lot. In recent years, Melo did it, obviously. Patrick Ewing did it. Michael Ray Richardson, forgotten about guy, had some issues which prevented him from reaching his peak that he could have had. He did it. And then before that, you have to go back to the good old days. You have to go back to DeBusschere and Clyde. But like Monroe, Earl the Pearl never did it. Bernard King, again, due to injuries, didn't do it. Sprewell, Houston, these guys didn't do it. You have to, it's been very few guys since back. You have to go really back to the early 60s and the 50s, when again there were very few teams and very few players. It's easier to make the All-Star team back then. So that accomplishment from Julius can't go without significant recognition, and we will recognize it tonight, I hope. But so without Mitch, without Julius, without OG Anunoby, who has defined their character as a defense-first team from the moment that he got there, and yet you look up and but the last 2 games, right? It's the last 2 games, like, okay. Who were they against, though, right? Charlotte, awful Charlotte team, a very potent Utah team, but at the end of a road trip, but still a very potent Utah team that the Knicks held to the second fewest points they had put up in about 7 weeks. But coming into tonight, it was the number 1 team. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about how the offensive numbers need to be taken with several grains of salt. I get that. It's totally fair. They're still the number 1 offense in the league as of, well, maybe they won't be after tonight. But we thought after the first quarter, well, this is where they're going to miss OG, right? This is where they're going to miss OG Anunoby, because the score was 36-26, and the Knicks were on pace to give up 140 to this team for the second time this season. And wouldn't you know it, much like the last time, here were the Knicks, extremely shorthanded. Oh, I forgot to mention Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes also not in. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 rotation players. 4 very important rotation players. You don't think Quentin Grimes would have made a nice difference tonight? Forget OG Anunoby and Julius Randle. I mean, and this is what they were facing. Get hit in the mouth out of the gate, and then what do they do over the ensuing 3 quarters? Hold the Pacers to 22, 26, and then in the final quarter, 21 points for a total of 105. I'm fairly certain the Pacers maybe Andrew could look it up and see how many games this season the Pacers have scored fewer points. And I get it. Halliburton, 21 minutes. Fine. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it tonight. I do not want to hear it tonight on a night when the Knicks were missing all the guys that they were missing. And when the Pacers got off to that start, and oh, by the way, this is a night that the Knicks and this has been a little bit of a bugaboo all year. They've been a very good 3-point shooting team this season by any metric. But when they are bad, oh boy, can you smell it from a ways away? The Knicks finished this game shooting 8 of 38. 8 of 38 from 3-point range. Overcome loss of key players, overcome a big first quarter deficit, overcome not being able to throw the ball in the ocean from the beach. And then, of course, and I thank the good Lord, and you should thank whatever God you believe in, that the refs did not end up deciding this game, because that's perhaps the biggest thing that this Knicks team had to overcome. And look, you know me, I'm not a blame the refs guy. I will never be a blame the refs guy. It's not in my personality to be so. Like, that dude's Jalen Brunson is gonna wake up tomorrow. I mean, I'm joking about the Rocky thing. He's going to wake up tomorrow morning looking like he's been in a freaking 15-round fight. That's what his face is. I'm like actually frightened. Forget cut me Mick, cut me Tibbs, cut me Tom, or cut me Dad. You know, it was, and that was just the most egregious non-call in a night full of just some of the absolute worst refereeing you will ever see. Again, I thank the good Lord that we do not have to sit here, and we could talk about it, obviously, but that poor refereeing, egregiously poor refereeing, did not wind up ruining what was an incredible evening all around. So, I mean, what do you say about this team? It's 9 straight wins. They've lost 2 games since they made this trade. Something about that trade, and it's not just bringing in OG Anunoby. I don't know what's going on. Something's in the water over there. You know it when you see it. This happens. This happens sometimes. And I'm not going to say that this is completely out of left field for this franchise since Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau came aboard to kind of guide this ship, because there was something special in the water in the We Here season. And there was something very special in the water last season, which seems like a million years ago now. But like, we all remember how we felt when this team looked like, I mean, it was on the way to sending Tom Thibodeau to a retirement home early in the season, came back, won 8 straight, faced some more adversity, traded for Josh Hart 9 straight, and they kind of marched all the way from there. Maybe I'm being caught up in the moment. Something about this feels different. Something about what we're witnessing right now feels a little bit different. And yes, I think it does mostly have to do with the fact that Jalen Brunson is ascending to what I imagine how ridiculous. And I think I have to put myself in the category of people that I'm about to excoriate, because I've had doubts. I've had doubts since he got here. Like, yeah, okay, this is great. This is awesome. But like, the best player on a title team? Think about how, first of all, there haven't been that many players in the history of the league that have actually literally been the best player on a title team. There have been players that could have been. Charles Barkley could have been the best player on a title team easily. He wasn't. But how many guys, really could have been? And because of that history, I've had my doubts. But imagine being someone that had a national platform and has said, like, this season, like recently, oh yeah, too small. Or you're just like, yeah, I think they need another. Like, to be that dismissive of a guy with this heart, forget the talent. I mean, the talent's fucking outrageous. What did he score? 40 points tonight? Talent's outrageous. But with this heart is, so I do think it's mostly Brunson, but you look up and down the roster, and so just for example, tonight, I mean, where do I go after Brunson? There's a few places I kind of want to go, and this is not to like, Josh Hart did not make a field goal tonight. That dude played his ass off, had a lot of big moments on defense, ended up with 12 rebounds. Like, he found a way to contribute. Not that DiVincenzo shot 8 of 26 from the field. Not his best night, and yet they kind of needed his gravity on offense. Malachi Flynn only played 7 minutes. I thought it was an important 7 minutes. Jericho Sims, he had, like, his moments were pretty good. But if we're not talking about Jalen Brunson tonight, and before I move on to get into everybody's comments, and I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of them. Three guys need to be singled out, and I don't even know which one to say first. You know what? Let's, in no particular order. I'll start with Hartenstein. 19 rebounds on the evening, 6 assists, by the way, which not only led the team, it was twice as much as anybody else on the Knicks. The Knicks, I mean, you want to talk about not exactly the cleanest offensive evening. The Knicks had 15 assists tonight, 15 on 41 made field goal. And Isaiah Hartenstein, your starting center, had 6 of them. That tells you all you need to know. 19 offensive rebounds, 8 on the offensive glass. And, you know, and I didn't disagree with him at the time. Benji tweeted it out when he had that scary kind of fall into the Knicks bench. Like, you might want to take Isaiah Hartenstein out at that. You know, it looked like he may have twisted the Achilles. For that dude to come back and play 36 minutes when he had that moment there. I forget when it was in the game that he dove and it looked like it might have been bad. And for him to finish the game, forget what he actually did and the contributions he made and just being everywhere at every moment that they needed him to be. Incredible stuff. That's Isaiah Hartenstein. Miles McBride, Deuce. Again, at times, an afterthought. I joked about it on Twitter. If you had Deuce McBride scoring 11 straight points and 14 of 17 points for the pivotal stretch in this game when the Knicks were, and because again, the Knicks, they were pushing that. They were pushing. They were trying to climb up the hill. And it seemed like every time they got it to like, 5, 6, 7, 8 around there, the Pacers would hit a 3, or the Pacers would or the Knicks would miss 8 threes in a row, whatever. I mean, at one point they missed, I wrote it down. Knicks missed 17 threes in a row in this game. And even if you take away those 17 threes, they still shot a crappy percentage from downtown. That's all you need to say about this. Take away 17 threes in a row, and the Knicks were 8 of 21. That's not all that great. It's fine. But Deuce, that scoring barrage, and I thought also the defensive intensity to when he checked into that game, I thought the defensive intensity changed a little bit. And I think they needed that. I think he is that galvanizing force. I'm not comparing Deuce McBride to Emmanuel Quickley. These are very different players. To be very clear, Emmanuel Quickley is a point guard. Deuce McBride is a linebacker crossed with an NBA wing in a 6'1" or 6'2" or whatever he is package. I'm not really sure there's another player out there quite like Deuce McBride. And now he's learned how to shoot. So that's fun and that's exciting. And they do not obviously win this game without Deuce McBride. And then last and certainly not least, Precious Achiuwa, man. 43 minutes. 43 minutes for a guy who, when he got here, you could argue that he was like the 4th string center in the healthy if everybody's healthy. After Mitch, after Hartenstein, after Sims. Like that's, and like 4th year guy, 3rd team, not probably looking great for his prospects to sign a nice rookie extension this summer. And like through his first 10 games here, there was nothing he did that was particularly impressive. Now, granted, his opportunities were few and far between. And then as injuries started to pile up and as opportunities arose, guess who has reminded everybody, like, yeah, there's a reason I was the 20th pick in the draft. And I was taken by an organization that tends to know what they're doing when it comes to drafting players in Miami, and then was picked by Masai Ujiri, who, he doesn't always miss. He doesn't always hit, rather, but has some good talent evaluation skills himself. And it kind of hadn't worked out. And I was going back and looking at some of his stats over the last few years. Like, you look at his numbers during stretches where he started games for the Raptors. And it's like, he's produced. Like the skill is clearly there. And now he's getting an opportunity. And in those 43 minutes, what did he do? 16 rebounds, 8 on the offensive glass, matching Isaiah Hartenstein. How about 4 steals and 2 blocks for Precious Achiuwa? And did Pascal Siakam have his number early on in this game in a matchup of former teammates? Absolutely. Pascal had his way with him. But Pascal Siakam, I don't remember what Pascal had at halftime, but I don't think Pascal Siakam had many points in the second half because Precious Achiuwa just got better and better and better and more locked in and more engaged, and he was everywhere. And I think next to Brunson, he's the story of this game because perhaps more than anybody from tonight, I think Precious Achiuwa epitomizes what this Knicks team is about. And really, and this is where the connective tissue lies between this season and past seasons, where they just don't know how to quit. They don't think it's a damn show. They think it's a damn fight. Yes. Every night, the Knicks step on the court. It doesn't matter who they're missing. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They don't think it's a show. They think it's a damn fight. And tonight, Pacers might have thought when they stepped foot on the court in that first quarter that this was going to be a time to put on the show at the Garden, and didn't quite work out that way. Funny how that happens. And that's his team. That's his team in a nutshell. And it's a testament to everybody in the organization, up and down, for really, again, creating a culture from, forget creating a culture from scratch. You had to excavate like tons of toxic waste and replace it with good stuff, because that sort of shit that had built up over the years does not go away overnight. You can't just let it sit there. You have to clean that shit out. And, it's so appropriate. I wrote about it today that yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of the Kristaps Porzingis trade, because look, people have a lot of strong opinions about that trade, and I don't want to talk about it right now, but if there was ever a trade that you looked at and you're like, man, something's probably not right over there with whatever happened that led to that moment. And for now, 5 years later, for us to be here and to have, again, 2 All-Stars, absolutely wild stuff. It's tough to talk about. But this is fun stuff. I just hope everybody's enjoying it. Again, it's why we watch sports. So I think that's it. I'll get Andrew Claudio up here. He could let me know if I missed anything. That's great. Are you wearing sunglasses to block out a blackout? It's fantastic. Jeremy, break it down.
Here's the deal, Jonathan.
Yes.
We're having some fun.
We are
watching this basketball team.
We are.
I believe we've waited our entire lives, at least since the 90s, to root for a basketball team like this. And I echo your sentiments. I don't hear anybody with a qualifier. I know how Tyrese Halliburton and that soft-ass game we got to watch tonight. Get this weak-ass team out of here. I'm sorry. We're on 6.5 basketball players. Evil Dante played tonight.
He was good.
Halliburton, he was good. Think about that. This very mid-basketball team that we had to take care of tonight. Get them up out of here. They're behind us, very behind us. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here is the perspective we need, Knicks fans. We like to look at scoreboards and we're like, I'll settle for this and that. Celtics lost tonight. We're 5 out of first.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
That's the perspective.
I mean, look.
How sweet it is, John. How sweet it is.
I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. Not different direction, but I want to say this. We could have some fun at Halliburton's expense tonight. Please. I would love to. I did not think I could.
John Soft.
I did not think I could ever dislike a player as much as I disliked Reggie Miller. Hallie's up there, and of course he plays for the fucking Pacers. And maybe it's part of the fact that he plays for the Pacers, which is why I dislike him so much. I am not looking forward to facing that dude in Indiana for the foreseeable future. I think we're gonna have a lot of great battles, great wars with that team. But the reason I want to spin in a different direction is to say this: this Eastern Conference is a bear, and for the Knicks to have emerged and are now in the 2 spot, or almost in the 2 spot, half game back in the 2 spot, with a like very obviously a big time Celtics team, a very talented Bucks team. Let's agree that they are very talented. Sixers team, I'm sure that'll come up tonight. We'll see what lies in store for them. And then these Cavs, who I think, did they win tonight? I had the game on. I don't even see if they won. They were neck and neck with Memphis. I'm pretty sure they pulled it out. But like a Cavs
won
team
by 7. Cavs won by 7.
Cavs teams that refuse to lose. And this Pacers team, which this Pacers team is good. That's the thing. They're a good team. And we haven't even talked about the Miamis and the Orlandos of the world. This is a really good Eastern Conference. And for the Knicks to have done what they've done amidst this environment, this here's the thing, the dirty little secret about the We Here season. Like, there were a couple good teams at the top, and then it was like, okay, you could slide right in there because there's some room, there's some growth opportunities here in the Eastern Conference of 3 years ago. This is not that East. So what the Knicks are doing right now, everybody just needs to take extraordinarily seriously.
John, not only is it not that East, these are not those Knicks.
No.
Because down a defensive player of the year, runner-up, as of right now, the second best odds, OG Anunoby in defensive player of the year, wasn't playing tonight. 3-time All-Star, Julius Randle, wasn't playing tonight. Quentin Grimes, solid rotation piece, wasn't playing tonight. Malachi Flynn, Evil Dante can only get 7 minutes. We had Jericho Sims playing significant minutes. Didn't matter. Because we had Jalen Brunson. We turned Precious Achiuwa into a 16 rebounds. This guy wasn't in a rotation a month ago, John. Wasn't looked at around across 3 different teams with 3 good head coaches. I wanted a 4.
I wanted to trade him for Andre Drummond.
Yeah, that's where we were. And now he's like getting important minutes in crunch time. My goodness. Knicks culture's a thing. Like who knows? This team is eventually going to lose a game, I think. I'm just going to say, I think. I'm not going to say they are. They are. I think. I thought they were going to lose tonight. When I saw the injury report, I was like, oh, okay, so tonight they lost, right?
This was a schedule loss. Yep.
Speaking of which, right, the Nuggets had a schedule loss. What are you talking about? Miami's playing poorly. Charlotte, you got to take into consideration Gordon Hayward's not playing. They just traded Rozier. Utah's in the last game of a road trip. How about the Knicks being shorthanded? Let's see what they look like when they have all the reasons to lose and they still win.
The lineup, it just made me think of it when you mentioned Sims, and this is not to disparage, and obviously this is not to disparage. Nobody gets disparaged tonight. Everybody gets praised. But like, you just mentioned Sims, it made me think at one point they had a lineup out there with, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Malachi Flynn, Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, Josh Hart, and Precious Achiuwa. I think those were the 5. And I was watching them, and they were fighting tooth and nail with this Pacer team, trying to get back and stay in this game, get back in this game. And I'm like, there's a very real possibility that 4 of the 5 players we're watching right now are not going to be in the playoff rotation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's a thing that could happen. And they're just fighting and clawing and scrapping. And that's your culture right there. It's not what Jalen Brunson is doing. Jalen Brunson's a super duper mega star MVP candidate. Like, yes, he helps set the culture, but your culture that's when your culture is tested. That's when your culture is proven, you know? So incredible stuff.
I agree with you, man. This was honestly the most impressive of the 9 because of how shorthanded they were, because of how good, like, I actually got like a lot of respect for Nembhard now. Like that Pacer team, that offense just finds buckets left and right, you know?
Until the fourth quarter.
Until the fourth quarter. And not for nothing, like you hinted at it, it's very easy to get buckets when you're playing 8-on-5. Okay, my goodness, this sport and their zebras. Like I was ready for Tibbs to get tossed at a certain point, and then Jalen Brunson lost tonight. Guess what? You got to take both of them, Indiana, because unless you blind him completely, and then I still think he's probably going to get an and 1. All I know is this is a fun basketball team to watch. This is a reason to jump out the window, and the Knicks are a safe bet every night to give you a great effort, which is why you need to take advantage of all your safe bets with the fine folks over at Prize Picks.